Hello everyone. Today is the day and I want to share with you my ataxia story or journey, starting from the very beginning. Now this is starting from a very young age, like around infancy, and throughout growing up and into adulthood, what had taken place in getting the possible diagnosis and up to now, okay? So I want to try to squeeze this all in one video the best I can, okay? So I was born, my name's Darcy Marie. I was born July 26, 1992, okay? My ataxia is supposedly hereditary in a dominant fashion. So within every generation, there has been someone that's been affected. And there's like a 50-50 chance of passing it. So that supposedly is how it runs in my family. So after I was born, from the moment I was from the very beginning, I was kind of like late to walk and talk. I was late at using my motor skills, and everyone thought I would not be able to keep up. And I was diagnosed from get-go as being developmentally delayed because I did not reach my milestones on time. Okay. So that occurred at a very young age, okay? So from the very beginning, my parents started noticing there was something a little bit off or different with me. And, we are all affected differently. Even those with ataxia in the same family can be affected very differently. So, but that's how it started. I was put in from get-go, as a special needs child, and I was put in special education classes through school, and I grew up that way. It started off with speech therapy, speech and language classes. I was in a full-time special education class where I was with other special needs children 100% of the time of my school time. So that's how it started out with me with school. And as I got older, we started to realize it wasn't the right, there was something unusual where I was higher functioning, but the mainstream classes would have still been too quick for me. So I was tossed around from different special needs classrooms, trying to figure out what was the right fit for me. And the reason why is I do have learning disability, and it started out with that. I have learning disability. It wasn't realized until high school. I had a cognitive disorder, and I would have trouble remembering details in school, and this was frequently complaints by my teachers. And I would have trouble retaining information. I would have issues if I was being shown the same thing over and over again, I would still not be able to retain it in my head. So it would just wipe out clean totally from my head. So I had difficulties there. I had difficulties processing certain things. So I had difficulties with communication skills, and I have mild dysarthria, which is like a slur in speech, and that seems to persist nowadays. It's very mild, but it does get worse at certain times than other times. So, but Anyways, that was earlier on. I was thought to have autism spectrum disorder at one point and ADHD, things like that. But we came to the conclusion it was learning disorder and cognitive disorder by high school, by the time I was graduating. And by the time I was graduating, I was then thought that was basically my developmental history. But by the time I was 9 years old, I started having these dizzy spells, okay? And they were just, thought I was just getting dizzy. I was just having random dizzy spells. They were infrequent, so we didn't think anything of it at first until they got worse and started interfering with my daily and my activities. It became so bad that was basically chronic vertigo. I was always like spinning, and I would have these episodes of this dizziness and vertigo. And the vertigo would be so debilitating. I'd be at times like incapacitated from it. And with that, it would increase my unsteadiness. So I would have these episodes, and I had them straight up through high school, and they just got worse. Throughout my childhood, I was being tossed from different doctors, doing different tests. They all said everything was normal. Okay, I had several MRIs done. They all insisted it was normal. Throughout my childhood and through school. But little did they know, around the age of 14, it is unknown as to when I developed cerebellar degeneration or a shrinkage or atrophy of my cerebellum. But I had it in 2008. I was around 14 years old. They said my brain scans were normal, but it really wasn't. My cerebellum was actually degenerating or shrinking. And I did not find out until last year in 2020 of September, when I seen a neurologist that has been dealing with my family members throughout. So I started seeing that neurologist last year. So with that being said, many years, everyone kept insisting I did not have such a condition. Many doctors refused prescribing me a medication called exozolamide to help kind of control the vertigo and the dizziness I was getting, my unsteadiness. But it became so bad I even started to vomit. So I was getting sick from it because I was spinning so much, and I would have abnormal eye movements. My eyes would cross, associated with vertigo, and I would see double vision. I would get the double vision with that too. And I would get like tremors associated with the episodes. And with the vertigo, I'd get increasingly unsteady. So these were primarily episodic symptoms I was having for a long time. And more recently, I was then suspected finally to have ataxia. And I was put on the medication exozolamide to help control the dizziness, the vertigo I get from the ataxia. And it was suspected I possibly had episodic ataxia. And my neurologist at the time wanted to do genetic testing, but they wanted to wait until I was over 18 years old to do it. But I ended up switching neurologists because my neurologist at the time was over an hour away. So I ended up switching to someone closer to home. And they never took genetic testing very seriously ever since switching doctors. So recently, last year, I had switched back. I see a neurologist over an hour away. And that's where I'm currently at. So they are taking genetic testing more seriously, and we are in the midst of trying to find out exactly what type of ataxia I have. I did my genetic test, it's completed, I'm just waiting on the results now. But more recently, up to date, there has been a significant change in my symptoms. Whereas my symptoms were primarily isolated, they would be episodic. So when I'd get vertigo, I'd get increasingly unsteady, only associated with a vertigo. But now I noticed a change in my symptoms. I get unsteady now, regardless if I get vertigo or not. So I'm having more issues being with the unsteadiness, the imbalance I get, and the coordination problems and the tremors more persistently rather than episodically these days. My vertigo is more under control with being on the medication exozolamide, but it doesn't appear to help these unsteadiness, the imbalance I get, and the coordination problems I get. So my symptoms, where they used to be mostly episodic, they had become more widespread, and it seems like they are becoming more permanent over the years, where I'm now having persistent tremors. I'm having more balance issues, even though I'm not dizzy. I've noticed changes in my walking, my gait, within the past year. And within the past year, I've been using assistance devices more. So, whereas before I wasn't using any, I have a cane in case I get unsteady around the apartment. I have a rollator now. It's like a walker with a seat, and I use it now for when I go out, and a wheelchair if I absolutely need it. So I have those now. So that is basically up to date in regards to my journey from when I was very young up to now. Now I will keep you all posted on what I find out and my genetic testing results. So that was my ataxia story, and I hope you found it insightful. And I will keep you up to date. Bye now.